Still time. Hello and welcome back to the Bracket Show. I am your host, Jacob London, and joined, as always, by my wonderful panel of crew. Taylor, how are you? So climactic.
Listen, today is like, I think the first day in a long time where I literally have not changed out of my pajamas until 5 minutes ago because we were going to be on camera. Like, I have done nothing today and it's glorious. So, I'm good. I'm feeling good.
Mara, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. I just bathed, so you're welcome. Wow, no one cares.
Oh
No,
well,
I
no,
thought
no.
I smelled some dewy freshness. Some
No, we're
spray.
about to throw a parade in your honor, honestly.
I'm reviewing a drink again, by the way. This is a thing I used to do. Sparkling ice, caffeine, zero sugar, strawberry citrus. Don't know what I think yet. First sip was not great.
Second sip is
TBD.
Well, Adam, Marisol, how are you?
Milady.
We're good. We're good. Go Birds! It's draft night.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Just letting you know.
I mean, yeah. Well, be excited right now because I don't know when your first win's coming. That's all.
Wow. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Shots fired. What's your team again?
The Bills.
Okay.
They play the Cardinals this week. You guys play the Packers. Good luck
I ain't
on
scared.
a Friday in Brazil.
I ain't scared. Love hurts, baby. Let's go. Love hurts.
Hey, maybe they learned capoeira while they were there.
Well,
Hold on, listen. I don't have confidence for my team's first week just because I don't ever. But the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers today, so I don't care.
that's fair. That is fair. All right. Well, let's start with our first matchup for the day.
You know I am smiling.
The Shape of Water versus Tangled. Marisol's all fired up.
Yeah,
I just got
So,
hurt. I just got
well-
hurt through my draft.
well
I'm all
done.
fired up.
Well done. I'm now going to ruin the mood and get you to start first.
You know what?
That was so perfect. That was so perfect.
I'm good. Hey, I'm all good, Rue. I got hurts. All right. Look, let me talk about Shape of Water versus Tangle real quick. So I'm gonna keep this one brief because Mama's probably gonna be up soon again in the draft. I do like Tangled. I do like Tangled. Mother Knows Best, all of it. I like the arc of the villain. I like a villain being that close in a meaningful kind of learning how to think differently about your guardians, about the people who are supposed to be the people in your corner your whole life. I think those are very important lessons, unique lessons. I'm down for Rapunzel. I'm down for her back-to-back banter with Flynn.
Flynn.
Yeah. Yes, that horse, great horse. You guys know the name of the horse. Shape of Water though is just the stronger hybrid. It's indescribable because it is its own thing. Like you try to say it's this meets this meets this, which is what we usually do a lot as movie fans. Shape of Water isn't this meets this. You can't do that with that movie. It is its own thing. You just describe it on its own terms. And that is a very, very special thing, an astounding thing in the 21st century, especially with genre filmmaking. And it's a testament to Del Toro. Love Sally Hawkins, love Doug Jones. Weird, aquatic, interspecies love for the win. I love the darkness. Again, everything I've loved about Del Toro is the real blackness and danger and death and violence and grimness he brings to modern fairy tales. He is the grim fairy tales in a modern setting through the lens of a modern cinematic storyteller with the production design eye for the ages, I'm absolutely going to vote for Shape of Water.
Okay.
I hate you, basically. I would like you to.
Hey, no. Taylor, your audio's still out.
Jacob, why are you giving me no audio?
Is it still out or not, like completely? Sorry, I need to know because I can't.
We can't.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When it's not working.
Okay, that's a first. Hasn't done that.
Would you like for me to speak while you work on that?
Yes, Mara, are you able to do that? Because I have technical difficulties and I don't know why it's doing this.
I am the thing that keeps this show together.
Naturally.
Said no one. I agree completely. I really have such a warm fuzzy spot for Tangled. As I've said, there should just be a drink counter for how many times I've said I was late to the party on insert movie Tangled. But I watched it when Dan had to watch it for Schmodown, and so charming. Like what a great movie. Like very, very charming. Very much enjoy it. Wonderful in the modern canon of animated films. But if I told you, all right, here's your Oscar bait movie. It's a movie that talks about people being othered because of their race, because of their sexual orientation, because of a physical disability. It's also a movie that involves a taboo relationship, and it's going to be very, very dark and grim, very genre-esque. It's going to have excellent cinematography. It's going to have really deep feels. This is Oscar bait central, right? It sounds like it is just going to be the most like tawdry, insincere, I just want Dad Oscar, throw it at my face, but it's not. Like they somehow managed to take all of these different ways of being othered and successfully blend it together in a way that in no way feels like it is patronizing or just like doing it for the sake of having it. It feels like a story that is interwoven about people that bonded over being othered, and they found their tribe and they found their safe space together, and it unified them and it gave them strength. And then we followed their story, and it just is so beautiful. And I feel like it's going to go far. I really hope it does, because it was one of my favorites of the year. I don't know if it was my very favorite of the year, but it's also hard because retrospectively that always changes for me. But yeah, I hope that gave you enough time, because I both wanted to speak about it, but also didn't want to speak too long about it. So I really tried to thread the needle there. So how did I do? I didn't speak
Still
long
not
enough.
working.
Nope.
Still not
Can
working.
she lean over and use your mic in
You
between?
might have to, because right now it's on my end. It's saying it's working, so I don't know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
So that's fun.
Share the mic.
Okay. All right. You're up.
All right.
Aw.
In this episode of Jacob sleeping on the couch.
All right. So, anyway, everyone just act like this is completely normal. It's fine.
Oh, maybe it's.
Can you not hear us at all?
Yeah, wait. Maybe it's.
We hear Jacob but not Taylor. Maybe it has to do with the headphones.
Maybe it has to do with the headphones. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same mic. She's talking.
Right. And you, Jacob, you sound clear as day. Taylor, you sound like you're 3 rooms away.
Is it coming in from your AirPods, Jacob, not your microphone?
Should.
Try again.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Oh,
yay!
I mean, to be fair, my headphones audio. Well, is that working?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Okay. We've done. It's working.
Is that working?
Yeah.
Hear your-
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Taylor.
Yes,
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, now that
Way
that
to go,
happened,
Jacob.
I don't know what I just did, but I did it.
It's like that
Sorry.
scene in Be Kind Rewind where you just like move Jack Black's head in front of
Oh my God, I love that
in front of
movie.
the VHSs.
okay. Well, this matchup sucks really bad, so that's fun for me. So Tangled is one of my favorite animated movies ever. It's just always been at the top of my list. And when Frozen came out and everyone stopped talking about Tangled, I was like, you're all my mortal enemy and this is my villain origin story. And that's still the case because Frozen is mediocre. Anyway, and The Shape of Water is special to me because it got me to get Jacob to acknowledge that Del Toro is like a good filmmaker. So I made him watch Shape of Water, and we started making progress basically on that front, which is awesome. Two very different movie experiences that elicit two very different emotions. For me, I think because I'm pretty sure I know where this is going, I'm gonna give Tangled its love and its kind of pity vote, because The Shape of Water is absolutely a masterpiece and absolutely deserves to go on. But if Tangled doesn't get one vote, I might cry on the first matchup of the stream. So,
Adam?
Yeah, like many people, I watched Tangled so long after it came out, and I'll admit at the time, I remember growing up in the '90s and being like, they should do a Rapunzel movie, like all these Disney movies we were growing up with. And I remember when they like pivoted to Hunchback and Pocahontas and stuff, and like I'm a Hunchback fan. I'll put that right out there. But I just remember thinking like, these are kind of obscure. And I was a kid back then. I was like, okay, all right, well, we could do Rapunzel, right? Like that exists. and honestly, I'm glad they got to it eventually, because I think Tangled is a really strong movie that stands on its own. I know it's got its little sequel, sort of, Untangled. I saw it on the Disney Plus advertised. Taylor, you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I haven't watched it, but everyone that has watched it, they all say that it's actually really great, like for a follow-up sequel series. So I've been meaning to check it out.
So I watched Tangled with my daughter. I saw it for the first time on my own, and then I rewatched it a couple of years ago because my daughter was going through a phase, and we didn't get around to Untangled. But I was wondering about that. But I digress. Tangled's cool because even though it's like that pivot to CG animation, which has kind of overtaken Disney animation lately, I do think it's got. I like it better than Frozen personally as well. I also just like the story of Rapunzel. I'm a big Into the Woods fan, the original musical more so than the movie, and I really just like that legend and the way you can play with it. I love the humor in Tangled. I think it doesn't feel forced or like, too 2010s-y, if that makes sense. It does feel timeless in a way. So I'm here for all that. I love the music too. And Shape of Water is a movie that like I've been on board with since it was announced. Like I was like, every time Del Toro announces like a quick pitch for a movie, I was like, okay, Beauty and the Beast meets Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's a great pitch, and that is a lot of what it is superficially. But like Mara was saying, you get into all these aspects of, being othered and compounded by the fact that it's set in the 1950s. And we haven't really talked about how wonderfully weird and toxic Michael Shannon is in this movie, because I love his performance. Yes, he often plays the heavy, but he's such a good heavy in this with his weird bathroom scene. Good Lord. That lives in my head rent free. But I also just love a lot of the practical effects work in this movie. And the reason why this movie deserves all the love it gets, aside from being just a solid flick, is the fact that it's so obvious Del Toro made this without any pretense of trying to win an Oscar or get like, it's so obvious he wasn't worried about it, and that's why it's so easy to love it. It's so nice to see a movie like this, the anti-Green Book, just completely run circles and completely confuse people that the year it came out. And I've always been frustrated with the weird little backlash that Shape of Water suffered, like a lot of Best Picture winners suffer for getting a lot of love. It's like, it's supposed to be like objectively good, right? And then you have people come into it and there's a learning curve for a lot of people with this movie. But I love that. More Best Picture winners should have a learning curve for a general audience. So I vote for Shape of Water as well.
Yeah, I love you. Yeah, no, in Shape of Water.
If you think I'm gonna be mad that you're willingly voting for a Del Toro movie, I don't. I think there's been some miscommunication here.
This is one of like okay. So two fronts. What I find hilarious about this bracket is we have two movies in this bracket that are responsible for Green Book winning Best Picture in Moonlight and Shape of Water. 100% they don't win Best Picture. Green Book doesn't happen. It felt like the massive snapback. Second of all, yes, I wasn't the biggest Del Toro fan because the two films he made before these I don't like, and that is Crimson Peak and Pacific Rim, both of which I don't. Yeah.
He says, as he loves me enough to we literally bought like a movie size, like the actual movie theater poster of Crimson Peak, and he's about to put it on the wall because I love it so much.
The things you do. Now, that being said, this movie is so beautifully poetic and just so stunningly gorgeous to look at. Just absolutely stunning. I'm not going to dive too deep into it because we're going to talk about it again. But yeah, Shape of Water, it's moving on. Sorry,
and we got to give a shout out to the MVP Doug Jones for his creature work. Is impeccable as always in this movie.
Yeah. All right, next up.
Okay, I'm just gonna say go to me last on this one.
Girls Trip versus The
You can go to me first. I knew you were going to do it. It's The Hunt. The end. for me personally. I have no more remarks.
Yeah, this isn't really fair, like at all, because Girls Trip is a really fun and just funny film. It's not The Hunt, and The Hunt is one of the best movies from this decade, and has one of the best performances of the decade from Mads Mikkelsen. I think he is phenomenal in this. So I'm gonna go with The Hunt, and this isn't particularly close. Adam,
is it weird I can fall asleep to that movie?
Little bit.
I was speculating for a moment. What if you swap the titles of these movies? Would it work?
Oh my God!
Jesus Christ!
Kind of. Well, look, Girls Trip is. I'm still like impressed with Girls Trip when I catch it on TV, because it's a movie I was not expecting, and I remember I prejudged it on the trailer because of the way the trailer was edited, the way it was presented, and I remember like when the movie started getting all this good word of mouth, I was like, cool, and then I saw it, and yeah, I was very, very surprised with not only the fact that yes, it was funny, but also it was just a really well-rounded ensemble comedy. I love that, like, you know, like all the friends have depth and they have different relationships with each other, and that's why the humor works so well. Really like doing something that he's really engaged with is different than when he has to do his paycheck movies. And I'm not mad at him for that. We've talked about Scary Movie 5 before, and you know, he needed to do that so he could do a Girls Trip. Maybe.
That's so nobody cares that he did Scary Movie 5. That is such a nothing movie in his entire filmography.
It didn't make it into the bracket, unfortunately.
No.
It didn't.
No. And then The Hunt, though, it's one of those transcendent experiences for me where watching a contemporary movie set in another country that's so incredibly relatable, because even though you're learning about the unique aspects of the Danish educational system, it's ultimately like there's a lot of similarities with just it gets to this universality of what goes into the reputation of being an educator, regardless of what country you're watching it from. And that's what I think is so striking about the film. The court of public opinion, obviously, going in the wrong direction for the wrong reasons, incredibly relatable. I think for anyone, whether or not you've gone through something that obviously that Mads Mikkelsen's character goes through. Yeah, I love The Hunt. This is a weird matchup, but I like that it happened organically. So yes, Jake, I'm not blaming this one on you. The Hunt. The Hunt. I have to vote for The Hunt. I'm sorry, Girls Trip. I really like Girls Trip. Damn.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Marisol?
Yeah, you good. Look, it's cool.
Great.
I have to boil it down to, I think these are two very, very strong, radically different movies. I like the restraint. I watched The Hunt for the first time for this bracket. I really appreciate the restraint of it. I found the editing almost like there was almost so much left off the table in The Hunt deliberately throughout that movie, which gave me a lot to ponder on, but it didn't give me as much, although it was intense stuff going on. I'm not going to act like this movie is the most emotionally engaging film in the world, because it's not. And there are movies that have like really searing, difficult subject matter like this, and also really emotionally engage you. And The Hunt, well, I found fascinating to chew on and goes to some very morally gray areas, and talking about how one can be ostracized and pretty much this witch hunt versus this like word of mouth, this gossip that creates like that ostracizes the person in the community. It's not going to be the same as the raucous, infectious, really three-dimensional, full-blooded, red-blooded comedy, physical comedy, clever comedy, friendship comedy that is present in Girls Trip, which I think is just one of the biggest surprises of the decade for me, honestly, especially in this kind of genre. Hold on real quick, guys. Sorry, what's up? I gotta pick somebody.
She's drafting Clubber Lang.
I am not.
She is.
But I do need, damn it.
A
The
plus
Southside
reference.
Slugger. Go on, get him.
I do need a
Right.
running back. All right. I had to pick somebody. So all that being said, I am going to pick Girls Trip, because I am going to rewatch this movie much more than I'm going to rewatch The Hunt. I got to be really honest. It is a feel-good movie. It's a movie about a very special thing that is not often shown, that is not shown enough in cinema. And that doesn't mean you get a participation, a show up, a trophy. I think Girls Trip is one of the funniest comedies, I think, of the decade, because of how well it nails its formula. I love the camaraderie between all four of the characters. Maybe Tiffany Haddish is a gag character, but 3 out of the 4, Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Latifah, Regina Hall, they're three-dimensional. They have their own arcs. They have their own kind of things that they have in the closet with their friends, things they're not comfortable to share, things that are difficult for them to talk about with their friends. They have genuine friend shit that is going on with them. And then on top of it, this movie is a complete gross out, raunchy, hilarious, like so often you don't see these two kind of things melded together. And Malcolm Dealey does a wonderful job of mixing these two things together. It's almost a semi-reunion of Set It Off, which I appreciate. You got Jada and Queen Latifah in there. Couldn't get Vivica and Kimberly Elise in there, but that's okay. It gave us Tiffany Haddish, one of the most, since Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover, the biggest breakout comedic performance of the decade. Literally, everybody was talking about Tiffany Haddish in this movie. The Hunt is a very special movie, but it's a solid movie and a special movie. And I know what you talk about in terms of foreign cinema. Bringing a really laser focus to the education system in Danish culture, the insular nature of these communities in this Danish community here is illuminating for American audiences. Girls Trip is the one that fills my heart more. The Hunt fills my mind on certain levels, but Girls Trip fills my heart, and I'm absolutely going to vote for it.
But you got me thinking, after the trajectory of Girls Trip, what it would have been like if Mads Mikkelsen got a stand-up special. I want to see that
Let's
so
see.
bad.
Let's see what happens. Let's see.
Oh, Taylor.
I
I mean, it doesn't. It's,
I mean, The Hunt, I guess. I don't know.
Tangled, whatever.
Mads Mikkelsen.
I mean, the hunt had already gone through, so.
It's fine. I had to defend Girls Trip here
Yeah.
for sure.
All right. Well, the hunt does make it through, and we have our next matchup. Can You Ever Forgive Me versus Big Hero 6? Adam, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yay! I made it in the nick of time, Dad. I rented Can You Ever Forgive Me? $4.29, and it was worth it. Again, I will send you the bill at the end of the year, as we always discuss in some capacity. But Big Hero 6, fine. Look, we've talked about it. It is a pleasant Iron Giant 2.0. It is fine. I'm not offended by anything in the movie on paper. And yeah, but Can You Ever Forgive Me was so engaging. If I were voting just on the trailer of Can You Ever Forgive Me, I might still vote for it. But I finally saw the movie, and what I have to say is, yeah, the all the hype about Melissa McCarthy is that I expected her to be good, and she was. But it's Richard E. Grant that really brings up the back end of this movie so well. I love him in virtually everything. He might be the best part of Rise of Skywalker. He's definitely the best part of Warlock. If anyone hasn't seen Warlock, oh my God. So just, all right, we have to, let's just step aside for 1 second. All right. Warlock is the plot of the first Terminator, but with man witches. Okay. So yeah. And not the sloppy Joes.
I was just going to say, you mean Man Witch?
Man Witch. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But okay. So basically, Julian Sands goes into the future. He's a warlock who time travels into the future. And Richard E. Grant is the warlock hunter who follows him into the future, like Michael Bay. And so it's reverse Terminator. And he's running around he's giving people constant exposition about this warlock who's going to bring about the end times. And everyone thinks he's nuts. And he's got crazy hair, and he's dressed like William Wallace the entire movie. And it's wonderful. And that's why I'm voting for Can You Ever Forgive Me? Because of Richard E. Grant's performance in Warlock. No, I think he's great in Can You Ever Forgive Me as well. It's a compelling story that, even though you hit all these beats that are predictable in a screenplay, and there are very predictable beats in this movie, I wasn't mad at that because it was a unique life that was being portrayed. And I never felt like I was being told, hey, these are all the reasons we need to justify what Lee Israel did. Lee Israel knows what she did. It's contextualized really well, and she owns up to what she's done while also giving us a lot of understanding about why she would do it in the first place. And I relate to it so much. And I also understand why she takes so much pride in her crimes. It's really, really well made. I vote for Can You Ever Forgive Me? And Warlock, go watch it now on Tubi or something.
Mara?
So I'm of the unpopular opinion that I don't think Melissa McCarthy is very good in this movie. It does not work for me. It doesn't work for me at all. Richard E. Grant is phenomenal, but it's not enough to save the movie for me. And I enjoy Big Hero 6. I think if it were against perhaps any other movie, I might pick any other movie just because it's a really, really good animated movie. I really like the world. I feel like it's unique. I love that it's a two brothers adolescent relationship movie and a non-parental female caregiver relationship movie, because that is a little bit unique in the animated canon. Like, it's just different. And sure, it's some stuff we've seen before, but also, like, to be fair, most movies are something we've seen before. But it's also not, it doesn't stick with you that much. So, like, it is good, but it's also fine. But I really just can't stand, I would never watch Can You Ever Forgive Me again, because I just can't stand her in that movie. I can never forgive her for being in that movie. So it's just my personal opinion. I'm not denying that other people have a great appreciation for it. She got nominated for a fucking Oscar, which made me almost gag, but also that's just my opinion. So like I'm just glad she didn't win, because then I would have had to hurt myself. So like I'm gonna vote for Big Hero 6, even though it won't go through this, but I just cannot in any good conscience vote for a movie where I can't stand the lead. Like, and it's not the lead as a character, it's the lead as the actor portraying the character, because the performance just does not work for me.
Okay. Marisol.
Look, I respect strong takes. I am especially conviction. You know, because God knows I got some of that shit. You guys know I got plenty of those. I got plenty of those where I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna die on my little island. And I'm just speaking for me. I'm not speaking for you, Mark. But I respect it. I would
die on an island with you.
We would not die. We would absolutely survive, and we would cast away the shit out of that island.
Yeah, we would.
I am gonna vote for Can You Ever Forgive Me? I will briefly summarize my thoughts on both of these movies before. I do feel Big Hero 6. I'm not mad at it, but I do feel that it is pleasant but derivative of Totally Iron Giant, even elements of T2, and some films I've seen before. I don't like the giant battle explosion in the end. I think the movie's more thoughtful than that, and then just ends in this just big. Doesn't matter. I am going to vote for Can You Ever Forgive Me? Really, second, the Richard E. Grant of it all. Richard E. Grant is just an absolute delight. I do find I felt very similar. I think I compared Can You Ever Forgive Me to Shattered Glass last time I talked about it. Absolutely has a lot in common with that movie. Of a very, very messy, bad protagonist, like kind of morally reprehensible protagonist doing something out of pain, out of a place of loneliness and longiness, and desperate for acceptance. And I find that so juicy and complicated, and interesting to watch, not necessarily because you want the person to succeed, because it's a very messy, ugly underbelly place to find a human being in. And it makes a really juicy storytelling, really raw and honest storytelling. I do like that movie. Marion Heller, she nailed this with this, and Tom Hanks, Mr. Rogers movie, the year after. And yeah, I think it's worth people's time.
It's a Lovely Day in the Neighborhood. No. Oh, Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Yes,
Yeah.
I switched the documentary.
The documentary is It's a Lovely Day in the Neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because they're not. Neither of them are really movies that I've revisited necessarily, but I enjoyed both of them to a pretty similar level. I think for me, it's more gonna come down to the fact that after seeing Can You Ever Forgive Me, and then having Richard E. Grant not get an Oscar for it is, again, part of my villain origin story. So, like, for me, like, that was his moment, and I was so mad about it. Big Hero 6, I do enjoy. I think Baymax is amazing. Definitely my favorite part of the film. But I think, like I said, I don't really feel particularly strongly either way, but I am going to go with Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Can You Ever Forgive Me? It's just, I really love Big Hero 6, but yeah, Can You Ever Forgive Me is just a movie that just works on another level for me, and I just absolutely love it. All right, with that, Can You Ever Forgive Me moves on to the next round. All right, next up we have The Artist versus Fruitvale Station.
Whoa.
Marisol, do you want to go first?
I do not like this. I do not like this at all. I do not like this at all. There's so much going on right now. I just gotta say, there's so much going on.
Yeah, there is.
I'm like drafting. Chad is going rogue. The Artists versus Fruit Rail Station. My emotions right now. This is a really intense spot for me. But yeah. I rewatched both of these films this week because I really wanted. I really just wanted to really reestablish both of these films. And this is tricky because I rewatched both these films and I still feel the same about both. And I wish that both of them could go on for certain reasons. I think I am going to. I think I.
Which one do you rewatch both of them this week?
I rewatched both of them.
Yeah.
So I cannot deny that, especially in a week of actually kind of heavy, hard-hitting, and sadder movies, The Artist is an absolute breath of fresh air. I love, especially someone who in my teenage years spent a lot of time watching TCM and grew a lot of affection for classic films, especially kind of silent era films, those really early Cary Grant films, those really early Barbara Stanwyck films, Katharine Hepburn films, Irene Dunne films. Cagney, those ones really on the cusp, early Greta Garbo, those ones really on the cusp of just moving from silent into talkies and then into post Hays Code. Once the Hays Code came in and those movies that existed right when talkies became a thing and right before the Hays Code censorship kind of cracked down on what you could see in films at the time, the amount of like sex and innuendo and implication and violence and licentiousness you could show in these films. I absorbed a lot from The Artist. I found it very, very rich and really capturing a moment in time, a transition in film history, beautifully, wonderfully, elegantly. I do think it is a fluff piece. It's been accused of being that. I think that is A-okay. It is a feel-good fluff piece. I think it stretches a relatively thinner story. It is A Star is Born. Yeah, it is. And I do think the movie kind of stretches that out a little bit as much as it can. But I had the biggest shit-eating grin on my face when I finished that movie. It ends spectacularly. Jean Dujardin and Berenice Bejo, they both know, the stars of it both know the assignment in that they are both just, they, even with kind of straightforward characterizations, they fully expand and bring to life and vividly bring both of their characters, their straightforward kind of archetypes to life in those films. He's the silent star in the downturn because he doesn't want to adapt to talkies. She's the dancer on the rise, beautiful, bright, blue-eyed, bushy-tailed dancer on the rise who's just become the face of new talkies. I think the technical details in this movie are astounding. It really fills my heart whenever I watch The Artist. It is a fluffy good time. Fruit Rail Station I rewatched, and thank God for it. An important, just a testament to life while being a pivotal. It was Ryan Coogler's debut. It's not Michael B. Jordan's debut, but it's the debut of their partnership, their on-screen partnership. It gave us Ryan Coogler. It gave us Ludwig Göransson. It's the first they were schoolmates at UCS, USC.
UCS was their rival.
Yes, exactly. And it's the first film they did together. Another beautiful partnership. And I think that the biggest thing Coogler was big about was putting a human face on these atrocities that we hear in the news. The disproportionate amount of young Black men who are Black Americans in general that are killed, that are just murdered by the police. And Coogler's mission was to really give a face to a flawed human being. And that's one of the things that is admirable and amazing about Fruit Rail Station is how they show that this was a guy, not because this guy was a saint, this was a regular person with flaws who was just trying to be the best person they can to the people around them, even though he had a lot of anger and mistakes in his past. He was putting himself forward and making the choice and applying himself to be a better person. And especially all in the day leading up to the day he was murdered. It's just emotional on paper. It's very sincerely made. And it's a kickoff point for two stars a star director and a star actor, one of the biggest star actors in our Hollywood machine nowadays. I don't like comparing these two. I talked this through and I thought I could pick one. Fudge. Oh shit. And I gotta pick somebody. Fuck.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, sure. I am gonna pick the artist. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pick the artist.
Wow.
I'm gonna pick the artist.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I'll make this pretty quick, just because there's no reason to kind of belabor the point. I still have not seen Fruitvale Station. It's on my list of movies that I want to watch so badly, but I know they're going to devastate me, so I just haven't been able to bring myself to do it. Like, I have a whole list of those kind of movies specifically that I have not gotten around to. That being said, though, I don't want to belittle how much I love the artist, because I was pretty late to the game of watching it. I watched it after, like 2 years ago now, after I watched Singing in the Rain for the first time. I watched Singing in the Rain, and then I watched The Artist. And I was like, this is perfect, because now I can just put it in my little grouping where I'm like, this is the perfect saga where I can watch The Artist and Singing in the Rain and La La Land and Babylon and just have the greatest time ever. Like, that's my dream lineup, and it's great that those exist all in the same universe where I get to watch them all. I love The Artist. I was actually really surprised by how much I enjoyed it, just simply because of how much blowback I remember it getting after it won. Like, after it had gotten the love with the Academy, people were not happy about it, and that's the thing that stuck out to me the most in my mind, kind of leading up to me eventually watching it, because I didn't really know anything about it outside of that. So I was like, wow, people are just losers. It's some real loser behavior hating on this awesome film. I just had such a great time with it. The performances are amazing. The aesthetic, like the set design, the production design, the costume design is just beautiful, aesthetically speaking. I loved the story. I completely fell in love with The Artist when I watched it. So
Adam?
Yeah, I was so impressed with The Artist when I saw it, just because the buzz was so big that year about, obviously an ostensibly silent film, being so celebrated, and for all intents and purposes, I think we don't need to quibble over how silent or unsilent The Artist is. It meets all the basic parameters of that era of cinema that matter to me. And I think it's such a celebration of an era of film that people really, frankly, don't give enough of a shit about. And it's really frustrating, because the 1920s were incredible for film. And whenever I go back and I watch a film from the 20s I haven't seen before, like one that passes a certain bar, one that's not like, inherently racist and gross, because there are a lot of those too back then. You got to be discerning. But like, honestly, the ones that are good, like obviously Nosferatu, but the first Best Picture winner ever, Wings, is fantastic. One of my favorite horror films of all time, Haxan, which is just like a historical like presentation of witchcraft through the ages. We were figuring out cinematic language in the 20s in a way that people completely take for granted now. No one cares. No one actually thinks about going back and looking at the inception of the art form and like dissecting it and appreciating it. And that's what I love about The Artist. It's a movie that is superficially very digestible. It's very breezy. It's sweet. It's cute. It's a celebration of the art of filmmaking, which is obvious, but it's also a celebration of the era and the best parts of that era. It modernizes certain aspects of it, but without dismissing things from that decade that need to be considered. Racism, sexism, everything. But I was hoping the thing, and this isn't, I'm not upset with the artist at all, but the thing that's the most disappointing to me in the wake of the artist coming out is that we have not had a trend of returning to that style of filmmaking. I don't think you need to arbitrarily imitate the 1920s silent era as a shtick to make movies, but I think limiting sound, like you go back and watch, if anyone's ever seen the film M, it's a fascinating, with Peter Lorre, like the movie's mostly silent, but it has a few moments of dialogue and a few moments of audio that are very selective, but it is mostly shot without audio. And I just, especially when we're talking about the 2010s bracket, we don't have movies like these. It just doesn't exist. And when the artist won Best Picture, I remember being really frustrated with the fact that there was this dismissiveness towards something that was light and a celebration of the art form and its history, because a general audience was like, I don't get it. Like, why, like, you know, okay. It seems there's a lot there when you rewatch The Artist. Fruitvale Station speaks for itself. It's an incredibly strong drama, well acted, amazingly directed. Coogler is a complete prodigy as a filmmaker. When you think about a person in his 20s, like we don't think about that a lot. Like think about filmmakers who are actually good in their 20s. It's a short list. You know, and there are auteurs out there, people who came out swinging for sure, but Coogler's one of them, and he's rare in this era of filmmaking to come out and make something like Fruitvale Station that looks like it was made by someone who's been making films for 20 years. And then to follow it up with what is arguably one of the most meaningful superhero films of all time. And then Creed, and then Black Panther. You know what I mean? I was
like, Creed? You mean the most meaningful superhero movie of all time? Yeah, you're damn right.
But my point is, he did franchise movies after that, and he did it like he's been doing it his whole life. The guy is so focused and gifted, and and putting these up against each other is tough because it's I'm grading different things here, and I'm not dismissing one by voting for the other at all, but I have to, by a hair, vote for The Artist because I'm just a fan. I'm just such an obsessee of the history behind movies, and The Artist is one of those rare movies that celebrates it wholeheartedly. And Fruitvale Station would win in a lot of other rounds. And so, even though this happened organically, I will say politely, F you, Jacob.
Mara?
Everyone else glowed very much about both movies, so this was what I was going to vote for anyway. And I'm not implying that these movies don't have the other thing, but I was going to vote for what I felt was substance over style. I was going to vote for Fruitvale Station, just in this case. The end.
Yeah, I'm. Look, I love The Artist a lot, but I would have voted also for Fruitvale Station, but
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. The Artist moves on to the next round, and we say goodbye
Great
to
movie.
Fruitvale Station. All right. Next up.
I would have been happy with
God.
either. I would have been happy with either going forward there.
Okay.
Same.
All right.
Here we go. It's time. It's time. Do it. Do it.
God.
Okay. All right.
I mean, do
I
we even want
need a
to
shot.
do it for
I need
real?
a shot.
Or do we want to just
I
like,
need
out your
let it
DVD.
happen?
I need a shot. No, I'm not. I don't want to be here for this.
Get out your
I
DVDs.
I mean, do we
You
even
have-
really have to do this?
You have a DVD.
I don't know what you're implying there when you say, do we have to do this? Because I'm terrified
I mean,
of
can we
what
just,
you...
by show of hands, can we just say one of the movies and then raise our hands if we vote for it? Because I think that's all we really need.
Well,
I would have said the same thing about her and this movie, but that didn't happen.
Well,
Preach.
I mean, I also didn't like the movie Her. I like the movie Moonlight quite a bit.
Can we? It's been fun. All right.
I got
Can we,
something to say.
can we make me? Can we like? It's been fun.
Who votes for Moonlight?
It's been fun. I mean, no, it's been miserable because I, like Jacob, never got over her getting kicked out. But
Okay. So Mara, we know where you're going. You're going Moonlight.
Adam, what do you have to say about the subject?
MacGruber is not what I'm voting for, but I will say I bought you all DVDs, and you need to appreciate it because it cost me approximately
I should go get it.
$16 to buy you all DVDs of this movie.
Oh, it's in the other room. I have 2 cats though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can we just take a second?
I'm gonna just stay over here.
All right.
I'm just gonna stay over here.
All right. I'm gonna go. Look, I'll give you this. I'm voting for Moonlight, of course. All right. I'm not gonna be a ponce about it. But
That's
I will.
already two old
All right.
MacGruber votes at a turn, so that can go.
No. But I have at least earned my right to speak about MacGruber, madam.
There's a hilarious comment in the chat, by the way, about MacGruber.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So I said this about MacGruber last time before I generously and selflessly sent you all copies of the film on DVD. I really miss SNL and sketch adaptation movies. MacGruber was a return to an era that's very near and dear to my heart. Granted, they're not all winners. Wayne's World and Wayne's World 2 are 2 of my favorite comedies of all time. Like, I just can't help it. I involuntarily love those films. I really enjoy A Night at the Roxbury. And like, but MacGruber was one of those movies that like ran with the premise, and it ran with the absurdity, and it's so hilarious. And people, if you haven't seen MacGruber, watch it because there's more going on with that movie than people give it credit for. Now, I will say this: Moonlight is superior, and not just because Chris Jericho's not in it. It is just an absolutely fantastic human drama that is relatable, regardless of where you're from, who you are, what area you grew up in. The fact that all 3 actors line up so perfectly with their performances, the score, holy shit. Moonlight's an arrival. It's an announcement. It's damn near perfect. So yeah, don't freak out on me just because MacGruber beat her. Look, her deserves to have a little humble pie. Okay, her's not going anywhere. Everyone's like, oh, Scarlett Johansson should have won an Oscar. Oh my God, Spike Jonze made this great sci-fi rom-com. Sure, he did.
I mean, even if Her was against Moonlight, I would have voted for Moonlight, so it literally didn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I vote for Moonlight, but MacGruber.
Taylor.
I'm deciding which way I want to go with this. Do I go with the movie I've actually seen? Or do I go with the movie that ruined my whole night when it took La La Land's moment on the Academy stage?
Damn it!
You know, if that's the situation I find myself in, I'm sure that Moonlight is outstanding, but it gave me the PTSD from living through that night. The whole meme that became that night was unbearable. And I was home by myself. All my roommates were gone, so I was just in this hole of despair by myself.
You didn't have a copy of MacGruber on DVD yet?
I didn't have a copy of MacGruber on DVD to soothe my sorrows. You know? Like, which one really brings me more joy? You know? That's the real question here. Really. So, because it doesn't matter, I'm going to vote for MacGruber, just, you know, because I have to.
Chaos.
You know? Adam sent us that DVD. You know, it deserves that at least.
Ghost coitus in that film. So let's just
Okay.
Marisol.
So Taylor chose violence. Okay.
I gave you
Marisol. Wait, Jacob, what are you voting for?
Hang on. I gave Marisol the exorcism last week to get rid of a movie that she didn't want. I will allow you to do the exact same today.
But why? Are you going to vote for MacGruber?
No, but I haven't
Oh, okay.
officially gone. It hasn't officially gone over the line yet.
Well, I'm just can I how do I say it in the way that you'll understand? Moonlight. All right.
They just throw dynamite in that movie.
That is the one I'm gonna vote for. I'm voting for Moonlight. No notes.
Well, yes, I would also have voted for Moonlight. Thank God. MacGruber.
Okay, because if you would have voted for MacGruber, I would have 100% changed my vote just to be changed.
No.
Okay, that would have been funny.
Do not do that to me.
And with that, we do say goodbye to MacGruber.
R.I.P.
I am a piece of human
Moonlight.
garbage.
All right.
Let's never forget McGroob her with a capital H, though. Okay, that was a
Someone
thing.
needs to make that movie poster.
That was our Barbenheimer.
I'll hang it on my wall.
Yeah. McGroob
I'm
her.
shitty at Photoshop. I can't do it. Someone else do it.
All right.
Someone teach me how to do Photoshop, please.
Next up, Beautiful Boy
Ugh.
versus Argo.
Ugh,
Taylor?
no.
No.
God. Okay, so I know I've said this. I'm pretty sure I've said this on stream a couple times.
When said it every single
every
time.
single time, probably, that Beautiful Boy has come up. But this movie was awful to sit through emotionally. Like, it was rough. It was real rough. And I love the performances in it so much, but that just made it worse. Like, it was, I don't know if I can ever rewatch this movie, to be honest. Like, I don't know if I could put myself through it. And Argo is one I just haven't rewatched, even though I enjoyed it when I saw it. I just haven't kind of gotten around to it, but I want to, because I would be interested to see how I feel about it on a revisit. So this one's kind of tough for me because, again, don't really have a strong conviction either way. I guess because it's more memorable for me, I'm gonna go with Beautiful Boy. Like, I just have more of like a strong emotional reaction to it, so that's where I'm gonna go.
Marisol.
Yeah. This one's straightforward for me. I have seen only either of these films once. We have a lot of Best Picture winners in this week. This is pretty alarming. Just back to back here. A lot of Best Picture winners in this week's bracket. I'll just say this. I am gonna vote that way. I am gonna vote for Argo. Did only see either of these films once. I stand by the critiques of both of them, or not critiques, but I just mean my thoughts on both of them before. Beautiful Boy is a movie with two really powerhouse performances in Chalamet and Steve Carell. In both of them, I do really love the casting. Choose both of them. Chalamet really nailed being with his movie dads. Like, between this and Call Me by Your Name, really great bonds with him and his movie dads. Love dramatic Carell. We don't need it all the time, but dramatic Carell, this Foxcatcher, 2010's gave us some gorgeous, some beautiful dramatic Carell. That we're blessed to have. I do think Beautiful Boy. I said this before. I'm going to sound very vague on it because I did only see it once when it came out. But I don't think quite. I think it's two stronger movies, or two stronger performances in a movie that doesn't quite match them. A director and a screenplay that doesn't quite match the quality and depth of the performances in it. That's about as deep as I can get to say about it, unfortunately. And Argo, though I only saw it once, I was surprised that going into Argo, I did not expect the kind of buoyant, the kind of happy, the kind of free-spirited, almost like the comedic vibe and energy of Argo. I really didn't expect the kind of comedic heist element of it. Not heist, but you know what I mean. Like here's a almost like a Coen Brothers comedy energy to it. Where
it's a sympathy for the devil subgenre.
Yeah, no, you can hear that song playing throughout every montage with Alan Arkin and John Goodman and Argo. Yeah. We just we're making a movie and during a hostage negotiation situation, it's a wacky Hollywood's wacky, isn't it? Like it's just like it's the 70s.
It was though.
Yeah. But Argo is entertaining. Interesting choice. I applaud Affleck for being the lead character. I think the movie kind of may hit a little bit differently if he did choose an actor to be the lead character in this and just focus on the directing. But I'm not mad at him. Affleck has shown that he can do both. I'm going to vote for Argo because that movie does have a little more punch and a little more cinematic identity and voice and narrative. And I would rewatch that movie again, definitely out of the two of these, because I did learn something watching Argo, and I learned about this time in history and this hostage crisis and the situation that went on. And it is a very fascinating, very oddball, unique situation. So I'm going to vote for Argo.
Mara?
I love that you said that because that's exactly one of the things that I love so much about Argo. I love when media can use like frivolity and entertainment to illuminate or like teach you something that you don't already know. Like whether it's something very, very important or it's something that's just kind of very interesting, because like documentary is one of my favorite things to watch. And sometimes it's a documentary about like, how do you make some random commodity, not necessarily like a how stuff works kind of thing, but just, like the Japanese sex doll documentary that was at Sundance a couple years ago. That one was actually super interesting. Sorry, off topic, but I'm going to vote for Argo because I obviously have like way more connective like tissue and affection for the concepts of the movie, like the fact that it's a movie about Iran. And I love most the fact that it shows the concept of like the unsung hero. And I'm not saying that everyone that is involved in like the government, whether it's America or any country, like any sort of covert operations or even military operations, because like there were things that I did in the military that I can't talk about, still can't talk about. There are things that get declassified that eventually I'm like, oh shit, I can talk about that now because it's on fucking Wikipedia or whatever. But the fact that like eventually so many years later, this person can be acknowledged and celebrated for something that they did to save like non-combatants that were just like stuck in a shit situation somewhere. So I kind of love the idea that you can also just kind of remind yourself that like, oh yeah, you could literally be standing behind somebody at Trader Joe's and they might have done something really fucking cool for a bunch of innocent people and you would never know because they can't talk about it. And again, it's just entertaining. Alan Arkin is just a joy. He always is. But just gave you so many fun laughs in a movie about something like really super serious. So yeah. But I love that she said literally the thing. I was like, I hope someone was like, oh, I had no idea this was really like a big thing or like what their situation was. And also like Hollywood usually loves to blow itself about, oh, look, we're going to make a movie. Like, let's make a movie about the fact that we made a movie. They made a movie about making a fake movie. So good. So, and I mean, I know that for most people, it seems just kind of more entertaining than serious. But again, I love movies about that place in the world also because you don't see very many. And granted, yes, unfortunately, those people were the bad guys. But yes, unfortunately, they did bad things. So yeah, we fell into some stereotypes there, but still very happy it exists. So I'm going to vote for Argo.
Adam?
I'm so sorry, beautiful boy. I'm not talking to you, Jacob. I didn't get around to this movie, and it is one of my sacrificial lambs for the bracket. I am so sorry. It was between this and Can You Ever Forgive Me, which is what I say to this film now. So I did not watch you. I am so sorry. I have to vote for Argo by default. But I think there's a good chance I would vote for it anyway. No offense to Beautiful Boy. I'm sure I will get around to it. I respect Steve Carell and Chalamet so much as performers. I would watch it just for them, and I will. So that's that. But Argo is a great encapsulation of an era of history, of filmmaking, that's really, really also a great showcase of ensemble acting. It's a movie that when I watch it, I don't walk away with a lump in my throat by any means. I just find it insightful and illuminating and clever and interesting. And that is a good reason to give a movie attention sometimes. It doesn't always have to be something that guts us or gets us all teed up emotionally. So yeah, I think Argo's very, very interesting, and it has a lot of great rewatch value. I do think there are aspects of it that make it feel, if anything, there's a certain sense of theatricality to it, which is in keeping with the premise of the movie. So I'm not mad at that, but I am aware when I watch Argo of the fact that it is a performance. I don't find it to be as immersive as I kind of wish it would be, as interesting and entertaining as I find it at the same time, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So I really like it and I vote for it, but with that caveat, if that makes any sense.
All right. Yeah, I would have also gone Argo just for the rewatchability factor. I love Argo a lot. I rewatched that movie a lot more than I probably thought I would when I first saw it. Like I just think it's a really easy rewatch of a movie, and yeah, I really love it. All right.
I'm sorry, I'm sitting here imagining you watching Beautiful Boy 10 times in a row.
No. I don't think I could ever do that. All right. Marisol, I am going to start with you on this one because I am curious where you're going to go. Frank versus Lion.
Early draft, bitch ass Baker Mayfield first.
Sounds like such a good comic book
movie. There you go. I needed a backup QB. I don't, but I do. I don't because I got Jalen Hurts. But I needed one just in case.
Let you all know.
But yeah. Yeah. All the feels in this one. All the feels. I ugly cried when we watched Lion. Ugly cried. Like snot.
During the opening credits.
Viola Davis level snot. It just like it was upsetting. I rewatched Frank this week because I just wanted to. Like we were rewatching a bunch of Alien movies, the new Alien movies because of Romulus. So we watched Prometheus and Covenant. So I got on a Fassbender kick, and I was like, you know what? I really want to watch Frank. It's coming up in the bracket. Happy I did. Adore both of these movies. I adore them. Oh God, Lion. I was floored by Lion. I was so God. It's a phenomenal real life story. It's a phenomenal real life story, and I applaud Lion so much, which is so unexpected, of showing how much this little boy. There's so much the first hour of this movie, like literally half this movie. I thought the movie was going to be Dev Patel. Dev Patel doesn't show up until like over an hour into this movie. Like the first hour is this little boy stuck on this train going across India and all alone by himself and learning how to survive. Heartbreaking, heart-wrenching stuff. And one of the things I'll say about Lion, which is wild, that you think like the most emotional stuff would be Dev Patel reconciling with his adopted mother, trying to find his mother. The most emotional stuff, that stuff is emotional and isn't emotional when he finally connects with his family. But the most emotional stuff of that movie is the stuff with the little kid trying to fight against the demons, trying to take advantage of him at every turn while he's alone out in the world. Heart-wrenching Lion. And a lot of feels, as I've shared before, a lot of feels on the adoption front. I'm very, very sensitive to and have a big, open, bleeding heart for adoption stories. Those are very close to home for me. And Lion is one of the most beautiful, nuanced, talking about the respect and love you have for your adopted parents because they're the ones who chose you, but also the pain and the questions, the unanswered questions and the unfulfillment that there can be in that certain area, and the need to find not feeling completely whole until you end that journey, and complete that loop. I love movies that talk about this. Mike Leigh's Secret and Lies from the 90s is another phenomenal movie about something similar. Frank is also a phenomenal movie about the dualism of, we talked about this, imposter syndrome, and finding inspiration around people, but not realizing that what gives you inspiration might drain other people of their inspiration, might cut off their creativity at its neck. I'm a Fassbender stan. This is probably my favorite Michael Fassbender performance, which is saying an insane amount, because all of his performances are like my favorite performances of his. I think he is absolutely one of the best actors of his generation. Certainly one of my favorite living actors. And I love the oddballness. I love how you try to label this movie as a quirky comedy, an indie comedy, but you realize how much tragedy and sadness and uncomfortability is mashed up right next to searing laughter, like uncomfortable laughter and truths. There's so many micro expressions, micro performances, and details, and hilarious verbal unspoken details with Donald Gleason, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Scoot McNairy, Fassbender's, all the cast in here. I can watch Frank over and over and over again. I love Lion, but I am going to vote for Frank, because I really gravitate towards, both of these are outsiders trying to find their way kind of movies. There's an absolute parallel with here. Both deserve to move forward. Both deserve to be seen. But Frank has even... damn. Frank takes, somehow you seems like a familiar fish out of water territory, and crafts something wholly unique that says something very, very special about mental health, and how creativity, musicality, is how music is healing and works in tandem with individuals struggling with a lot of mental health issues. I'm going to vote for Frank.
So it may not be summer anymore technically, but Dev Patel summer is a state of mind. It is not a season. It is a state of mind. It is a state of being. And I'm constantly living there. Just so everybody knows. Okay. I just want to make that clear. It is always Dev Patel summer here.
God.
What?
Nothing. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. I appreciate that. Lion is devastating though. Like, Marisol, you completely nailed it. Like, it is ugly crying, like just so beautiful and so devastating and so overwhelming in the best possible way. The story is unbelievable. Like, you watch movies that are like based on a true story a lot of the time and you're like, oh, okay. Like, this story is literally unbelievable. Like, it is insane. What was actually accomplished in the real version of this story. And the fact that they were able to put it on film and make it so interesting and so emotional and so grounded. Like, it really was not just a Hollywood gimmicky kind of film. And I think the performances in it are amazing. Dev Patel is great. Nicole Kidman's great. As we've talked about, the kid in it is a star. He shoulders so much in the first hour or so of that movie, where he has to, otherwise the movie doesn't work. And it's amazing. So I'm definitely going to be voting for Lion here.
Adam?
I'm just going to own up to it. I don't know the young Dev Patels in this or Slumdog. I don't know either of those kids' names, and I feel like an asshole because they're both great. All right? Both the young Dev Patels deserve all the credit because, Lion, I saw it for this bracket. Actually, I saw both of these movies for this bracket, I'm happy to say. No, Jacob, don't be proud. Don't you dare give yourself credit. It's incidental at best. No. Honestly, I'm really glad I saw both of these movies finally. My mom saw Lion in theaters years ago, and she was like, "Son, you need to see this." I come from a big blended adopted family. I really, really love the story behind this movie. I love that his parents are supportive of his inquiries. Like, just like they're like they meet him on his level, and every person is different. Um, I know from experience, from having siblings who are adopted, some of my siblings wanted to meet their birth parents, some didn't. And it's different for everybody. And I think what's so fascinating about this movie is how, whether you know anything about adoption or not, this is so incredibly relatable to me. And I think it would be to most audiences who actually take the time to watch this movie. It's lovely, and it's illuminating. I think the way it's structured is a little. It threw me off the first time I watched it, and I'm not mad at the movie, but it's a hard stop between the young version of the character and Dev Patel's version of the character.
Mhm.
And once we get to Dev Patel, it becomes a slightly different movie, and that's okay because it's still really, really good, but it's a hard switch.
Could have used a little moonlight. Could have used a little moonlight.
To be fair, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could have used a little transition.
And Rooney Mara is just there, like literally, like they're like, yeah, I love you, buddy. Like, I support you. And she's good in the movie. I'm not mad at her. She's all over this bracket too. We talk about that all the time. Like, is Rooney going to be in this movie this week? But and then Frank, it's so on my wavelength with how absurd and silly, but human it is. And like you were saying with imposter syndrome, look, I'll be honest, speaking for myself. The first time I entered into the Schmodown, I was trying to find my footing a little bit. And also I was in the COVID era where we were all online. So that was that element as well. But like, that's just one aspect, on a larger scale. Like, I've been through this many times before, like every new job I've ever had, like a lot of us, like I think most people can relate to that. The first day at any new job, when you feel like there's this ecosystem that you're stepping into and you're like, oh shit, like, should I act natural? Am I a part of this? No, I'm not a part of it. How do I become a part of it? What's the deal? What's going on? Like, and it's so hard for us to step outside of ourselves, and let that go in a lot of social situations. That's what we call our 20s. And so like having lived through those, I'm happy to have a little more perspective. But I think Frank encapsulates that really beautifully. And I think, to do it through the prism of a band is really entertaining and effective. But I think it's a universal message that creeps into a lot of aspects of everyday life. And I love that Fassbender's performance is so larger than life, even though we don't see his face for most of it. What Fassbender's so good at is enunciation. And I say that regardless of his accent at the time, because we know he loves doing different accents, but his enunciation is key to his emotionality in a performance. Also, Maggie Gyllenhaal in this is on another level. She's terrifying and amazing and hilarious. And also, to wrap it all up, speaking of 2010's MVPs, Donald Gleason is out of control in the 2010s.
He was he is the unspoken it boy of the 2010s.
Everywhere.
That motherfucker exploded.
And I'm never mad because he's always good.
Right. He exploded in the most high profile projects. Like, him and Adam Driver were fighting to be that new it boy of 2010s, where they just exploded.
That's why they yell at each other in the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, they were both pissed in that first.
I just need Kylo Ren to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. I wasn't even thinking about Force Awakens when I just said that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, continue.
I had another point that I'll get back to eventually. I vote for Frank. excellent movies.
Yeah, both of these. Either one can go on. I just have to pick one.
Jacob's like, yeah, shut up.
I look. The Aussie in me couldn't respect myself if I didn't vote for Lion. So,
Right.
and also I don't want any of the responsibility. So, Mara, that is all on you.
Wait, what? Am I deciding?
Yeah, to decide. It's tiebreaker.
Well, I also adoption movies hit very close to home for me as well. I'm very, very lucky to have two families. My journey being more atypical than other people because I didn't have a searching journey. But yeah, everyone has sung the praises of Frank. Everyone is completely correct. If it had gone through, I would have been delighted. But there was no question for me that I was going to vote for Lion.
All right. Well, with that, Lion does make it through to the next round, and we
Good
say
fight.
goodbye.
It's a good fight.
We say goodbye to
Oh,
Frank. It's
yeah.
I think that's our only.
Huh?
No, okay. So yeah, that and the Artist and Fruitvale Station have been our only like tiebreaker ones.
Yeah.
Everything else has kind of sunk through. All right. Last one.
Oh God.
Oh, sorry. Last one of this round.
Oh,
Room
God.
versus The Wolf of Wall Street. Taylor,
I
would
don't
you
even know what the hell to do with that.
would you like to start,
Not
or
really.
would-
I can start.
I can
or should we
start.
go to the one who
wait,
I?
she
Yeah,
can
actually,
start.
yeah,
I
Marisol,
can
you start because I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, no, let's just get mine out of the way. Everybody can struggle over this decision if they want, but this is real clear for me. Yeah, I mean, one of these I think is just one of the most perfect films of the decade, and one of the most serene and unique and emotionally harrowing films of the decade that speaks to so many truths and so many painful, but is there's fewer more life affirming movies of the decade for me than Room. I'm just gonna say it like that. That just, oh man, I cannot wait to rewatch this movie again and then again and again. Paramount performances in both Brie Larson and little Jacob Tremblay. Both of them discovering how to reliving through being, first of all, the parallels of being a young mother who is already just a young adult kind of early in their life, then becomes kind of imprisoned and trapped, and then has to learn how to live again. And then you couple that with all the stakes and her trying to make sure that she creates a good enough life while being imprisoned for her child. And then the parallels of a child who this is the reality they're born into, then learning how to exist in the real world. Room is an astounding once in a generation kind of film. I cannot sing enough about the performances in it, and I didn't rewatch it for this bracket, but I'm gonna rewatch it hopefully for next week because I hope it goes through. But yeah, I've said my stuff about Wolf of Wall Street, and I think especially, and I still stand by all my strong feelings about it. I think that it has especially if you look at the body of work of Scorsese alone, I think it just has so little to say other than the surface lurid entertainment value of it. I think it has so very, very little to say, very unhopeful things and not particularly interesting things to say about human nature that we haven't seen before already in Wall Street, a movie made years and years ago. We get it. And then when you compare these two side by side, the human element just puts one just light years ahead of the other. My God, hard vote for Room.
Nexties.
Mara.
I'm going to springboard right off of that. So, The Wolf of Wall Street is fun and entertaining, and I get what they were trying to say about the dangers of excess, but I think that they really put their toes over the line of glamorizing excess and sending the wrong message, kind of like how I have feelings about the Joker movie. Like, I know what they were trying to say, but I think that they put their toes over the line of glamorizing what they were trying to say. And don't get me wrong, Donnie Get the Ludes lives rent-free in my mind because it's hilarious. But this is another case of style over substance for me when I look at these two movies. I was, shocker, late to the party on both of them. Very late. But Room subverted every expectation I could have had because I don't know why. This is just some weird expectation I had in my head. I thought she was going to be in the room for like 90% of the movie. I thought the carpet thing, because I knew that it happened, I thought it happened like at the end. I was not ready for them to get out of room and then have to watch them move on and watch her struggle with mental illness and recovery and self-harm and stuff like that, which are things that I have a lot of common ground with. And I really think that they again did it in a way that didn't seem like self-serving in a throw her an Oscar, throw that bitch an Oscar. Like it felt like it came from such a place of representation and true like embodiment of a, oh, you want to go under there? Okay, go. Like true embodiment of that character as if she were a real person, not a person on a paper to give her a shiny thing. And it just felt so sincere. And I was completely riveted. And also little baby Jacob, but not that Jacob, the other one, the little baby actor one. So yeah, this is not even a chore for me to decide. This is Room.
All right. Adam?
I'm pretty sure they put Tremblay in cold storage for the back half of the 2010s because that kid was the same for 5 years. I swear to God. They preserved his little voice.
That's what happens when you haven't hit puberty yet, Adam.
I know.
Look, that's kind of how it works.
Look, no. Look, we grew up watching the Harry Potter movies. Those kids aged like Bigfoot. It was crazy. I couldn't handle it. It was out of control. So like Tremblay was like a little like
he was like
woodland
nymph. Yeah. When Room came out.
I know, but by the time Dr. Sleep came out, he was the same age, and I was traumatized in that movie. He was in that movie. We all sure. Talked about it. Okay. Anyway. All right. Let's back up a second. So Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. Oh. What? Oh.
I'm talking to me. No.
She's like, I don't even care about this.
I don't care about my last pick. I'm just trying to figure out my last pick. Sorry.
We're multitasking over here. So I appreciate certain things about Wolf of Wall Street, but the irony of Wolf of Wall Street is it ends up being a bit excessive in and of itself. And I'm not trying to, censor Scorsese because I enjoy the incredibly unreasonable, sprawling nature of a film like The Irishman. But I also like The Irishman more than The Wolf of Wall Street personally. What I want to say the things I do like about Wolf of Wall Street, and frankly, what that comes down to is, it's a great cast. There's a lot of goofy, crazy stuff happening. It is not boring. And as someone who has worked in sales a lot through his life, that's how I made a lot of my living. I have not done it the way these guys do. It's a great playbook. If you want to have a conscience and make a living in sales, do the opposite of everything in this movie, obviously. But the work ethic is there. I got to give him that. And that's one thing I find kind of weirdly relatable about it. But it gets completely bananas, and it is too long for me. It makes its point halfway through, and we keep going. But that's that. Room is so efficient and well directed, and it's the antidote to all the Lifetime movies I grew up watching. It gives actual substance to these stories, and we've seen like so many adaptations of real life true crime that are completely tasteless and schlocky and horrible. And you take something like Room, which is honestly, in a lot of ways, an amalgamation of these things we've seen over the decades with true crime and whatnot. But it brings in the human element, and it's not just about the sensationalism. It's about how do we resituate ourselves in society after all of this. and you go and the fact that it balances it so well with the son and the mother, the fact that you get both of their perspectives when they settle down back in the real world, the escape is so cathartic and it's so effective. But the fact that this movie lets us sit with the characters after the dust is settled after that, and the fact that escape alone doesn't cure the wounds, it doesn't heal anything like whole heart, like completely on its own. That's the substance of this movie that I find so effective and moving, and I love Room, and I vote for it completely.
All right, Taylor.
Okay, not that it matters. But I guess I'll throw my
We're all gonna
opinion
go
out
to
there.
hell.
No, this one's tougher for me than literally the rest of the panel, apparently, which is fun. I really enjoy The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not the biggest Scorsese person, but I really enjoy this movie a lot. I love all the performances in it. I think it's effective in what it's trying to say. And I enjoy rewatching it, actually. And I have quite a few times. So I really like Wolf of Wall Street a lot. Room, I do not rewatch as much, but like that's just a self-preservation thing rather than a it's not as good thing. It's more of a I need to be in the right headspace to sit down and watch Room. I remember being so excited for Brie when she got her Academy Award because it was so deserved. I was pretty mad about the presentation of it, but that's a different thing. It's a whole rant I could go on, but this one's a little bit tougher for me than it was for everybody else. But just because kind of what everyone else has mentioned, I guess uniqueness isn't the right word, but because we don't see stories told like this in this way as often when it comes to the subject matter of Room, I am going to vote for Room. Just because I do think it is a very special, very particular movie. And that should definitely be appreciated.
Wolf of Wall Street can't go out without a single vote, so I'm giving it its vote.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I love Wolf of Wall
do
Street
too.
so much. I really do love the movie. I get everything you guys are saying, and if it was deciding vote, I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm not in that situation. Thank God I don't have to sit here and think about it. But I'm giving Wolf of Wall Street its one little pity vote. So all right.
Jacob
he did so much cocaine.
Yeah.
All right, that is round 2 done. Let's go through. Let's finish this one up.
Let's finish it off.
The Shape of Water versus
The Shape of Water.
The
Shape of Water. Next.
The Shape of Water.
Oh, Marisol.
Well, this is really clear for me. I really clearly voted for the movies I voted for in these matchups. The other time, I really clearly voted for Shape of Water. And then I really clearly voted for Girls Trip. Rest in peace. Over the Hunt of last time. But now, that's what I love. This is one of the coolest things about this. Once as strong as I think about something with a certain matchup, then when 2 different movies, it's against something completely else in the very next matchup, I'm like, oh shit. It's not as clear anymore. I think I'm going to stick with my guns here. I think I'm going to go by kind of all the things I've been saying before, and the uniqueness and the deftness. I say this time and time again. Not that I don't think that The Hunt is a movie that could never. I don't think that's. Do I think that The Hunt is a movie that could be made by another filmmaker, could come up again? Absolutely, I do. Unfortunately, absolutely, I do. Although I think it's a penetrative and I applaud the movie for its approach. I have to play these broad strokes here and say
excuse me.
Prison tight.
Continue.
That was a genuine
Yeah,
statement.
Continue.
I would mute myself normally, but I could not.
You didn't have a whoopee cushion or anything as a sound effect? Okay. I stand by what I was saying before. I do think Shape of Water, I don't want to take for granted Del Toro. And I don't want to take for granted Del Toro when he is firing on all cylinders in a Pan's Labyrinth situation. In a Shape of Water kind of situation. This is his brainchild. This is a unique vision and piece of art that could only be made by him and the teams that he assembles, his filmmaking teams that he assembles. And I think it has it just has a more unique DNA than The Hunt. Both, I think, pretty much equally strong movies. Both have like slight flaws. I don't think perfect, either of them completely perfect, flawless films. But I do think the DNA is just so unique and the rewatchability is so strong with The Shape of Water. And the lushness of everything involved, from performances to production design to sentiment to thematic value to thorny thematic weight of it. I just think it outweighs The Hunt.
Adam?
I want to start again. You bring up Girls Trip.
Yeah,
and again, I think it's another great alternate title to The Shape of Water. I think we could apply it to a lot of these movies. I'm on the losing end here because I'm not mad at The Shape of Water. Never have been. I already gave it its props. I'm gonna vote for The Hunt. And the reason why is because I think these are both great movies. I'm glad we're talking about them. I'm not mad if The Hunt loses. But for me, I just find it to be, it's a combination of Mads Mikkelsen being an actor I really, really love. Playing a character who's incredibly human when he plays so many villains, in American cinema. And he plays a character with so many layers he's dealing with such an untenable, unfair situation. And there's a tragedy to it, everything he's dealing with. And I feel that when I'm watching this movie. I feel the weight of things that have nothing to do with this person and his decisions. We know as the audience, he's not guilty of things people are accusing him of, but it's a horror movie. That's what when I tell people about The Hunt, I'm like, it's a drama, yes, but for me, it's a horror film, because imagine completely having no control over your reputation, and it goes out the window, and you have no say. You did nothing wrong, and everything is ruined, and people have committed suicide over much less. And I find it terrifying, this movie. And I think the message of it, you could interpret a lot of different things from The Hunt, but I think the most universal thing about it is take nothing for granted, because even when you mean well and you do well and you impart kindness to people, in the case of this person who's an educator who loves his job and genuinely cares about children and their families, he is completely fucked over in this movie by opinion, and it has nothing to do with him. And it's so scary. And that's why I find it so important. Shape of Water is such a great trend bucker of Best Picture winners, and I love it for that. But I got to vote for The Hunt personally in this round. Let's move on. I'm done.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go Shape of Water.
Shape of Water, Jacob. Sorry, I didn't say that out loud, did I?
With that, we do say goodbye to The Hunt. And yes.
Fine.
All right. Next up.
Oh yeah.
Can You Ever Forgive Me versus The Artist? Mara. I'm just
So I was not at all unhappy when The Artist went through. The Artist is a fucking fantastic movie. I'm gonna vote for The Artist.
Adam, as someone who just watched.
Melissa McCarthy was so good in The Artist. She was so good.
The cat disagrees.
Yeah, that was my favorite blurb on the DVD case from Mara Canopic. But no, I'm going to vote for The Artist in this round. I gave Can You Ever Forgive Me its props. I really, really like it. I really do. And like, even though I vibed more with her performance than you, Mara, and I get where you're coming from. The thing we can both agree on: Richard E. Grant is impeccable. He is perfect in everything. And he's perfect in life. Have you ever seen his social media posts are amazing.
He's on social.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great.
He's on social, and bless him, the poor man lost his wife a couple years ago, and his posts about his loss have been so moving. Go look up his social media. He's incredible. He uses social media the right way. He's one of the rare ones. Him and Sam Neill. Sam Neill and his goats and his farm, amazing. Check it out. So The Artist is my vote because of everything I said previously. It's a celebration of history, of cinema. I have nitpicks, but I think it nails all the things it's going for, and it's beautifully filmed, and it's so incredibly genuine to me. That's what I love about it. It's genuine, no cynicism at all, and not cheesy to me either. So tough needle to thread.
Tough.
The Artist. Thank you. Good night.
All right. Marisol.
No, I'll seal it. Yeah. No, continue to seal it. It is going to be The Artist for me, definitely. Yeah, I'm interested to see what I got to check the bracket. What The Artist is going to go up against. Because I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that little. Don't even joke like that. Don't even joke like that. Because Uncle Rando is going to plot with Jacob to make some little like revival, some zombie rule in the bracket. So yeah. So then like one dead pick comes back, and makes it to the final bracket. So don't joke like that. But yeah, I am going to vote for The Artist. I stand by all the positives that I said about Can You Ever Forgive Me? And I think it is a strong, interesting movie, but I think The Artist is definitely a stronger film that does, yes, all I talked about it at length. The history, the depth, the research, and the care, and the informed film knowledge behind the making of this film is almost deceptive to the if you're not initiated, the uninitiated eye. But for a true-bred, like a deep film lover like myself who loves going back in time like that and really enjoying film from the beginning, it is an immensely rewarding film. I'm going to vote for it.
All right. Well, with that, I am also going to. We have our first 5-0 sweep. It's The Artist. Like, I really do love Can You Ever Forgive Me? But The Artist is. I just have to go with The Artist. All right. Next up, it is not MacGruber. It is Moonlight versus Argo. I have not created some zombie rule.
McArgo, Moonlight.
Mara, where would you go?
Don't get any ideas, Jacob.
I'm gonna vote for Argo. I gotta vote for the one that touches me more from a personal cultural perspective in this case.
Adam.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about that scene in MacGruber where everyone blows up for a second. I just so we're all.
You want to leave and just go watch MacGruber? Because, like, you can. I'll let you go.
No, like the scene where they're all all the professional wrestlers are in the van and it explodes on the tarmac.
I do remember that.
It's great. So I vote for Moonlight as well. I'm going to cut to the chase. We got 2 Best Picture winners here, both great movies. Moonlight for me is a 21st century masterpiece without equivocation. No, I just, that's just how I feel about it. So I vote for Moonlight.
I gotta go with the one I'm gonna watch. I'm going Argo.
It's tight.
Marisol?
Well, Jacob, you can Argo fuck yourself.
Oh,
Okay.
I
All right.
waiting for the person to
All right. You set me right up for that one. No. Respect. Follow your heart.
With love.
Follow your heart. But yeah, I am gonna vote for Moonlight. I'm trying to keep guys. It takes effort for me. I'm trying to just leave my unabashed bias out of some of these, my emotion out of this, and just try to just look at these movies, just look at them objectively, and really just stack them up in the bracket. Just do as objective movie fights as I can. And even when I put Moonlight and Argo together, excluding Moonlight being one of my favorite films of the decade, my personal favorite, I do think that it is a stronger film than Argo, and I would vote for it. I think even from an outsider's perspective, I would vote for it over Argo. For just kind of the more emotional, the emotional focus, and even the emotional grandeur of its scope, but also being laser focused. I think because of the structure, the elegant, the poetic arc of Moonlight, the focus of its narrative, the focus of its character's arc, I think that grounds the movie so much. Whereas in Argo, we talked about before, it's not a negative. It's just when you compare the two, Argo is, and you're there for the experience and what you were learning about this moment in time in history, and the sensationalism of looking at what happened. Different approaches, different movies. You're not there for the character development in Argo. It's not a slight. I'm just saying when you actually stack kind of those two and the impact, the ultimate impact of those films and their cultural stamp, even though Argo is about this moment in history, I still don't think it really nails that cultural impact as much as in All the President's Men or Malcolm X or
Weekend at Bernie's too.
Or Weekend at Bernie's too. I mean, let's be honest.
It's a hard-hitting film.
But yes, and not that Argo was aiming for that at the same time. I think those maybe were unfair comparisons. I'm sorry. I didn't have a couple fluffier ones off the top of my head. I'm sorry. But I am going to pick Moonlight for the uniqueness of its structure. I think it's easy for those kind of structures to feel gimmicky, especially with some more, I think, kind of self-absorbed dramas, to the gimmick of kind of the time jumps and the kind of chaptering off of some character's life. And I think that it is utilized with purpose to this character's journey in their journey, kind of reconciling with their sexuality and their introversion and what that means. I'm definitely going to vote for Moonlight.
Taylor.
Well, we're back here again. Where I have to choose between a movie I haven't seen in however many years and a movie I just haven't seen that broke my heart on that fateful night.
Oh
no! Like, what am I supposed to do with this? This is a very big, important decision.
Choose love, not violence, Taylor. I implore you.
2 times, and all of a sudden I'm the violence person on the panel.
Taylor, remember how
yes.
much you like Knives and Blood. Choose violence. I'm wearing my Woodsboro Horror Hotline shirt. It has a knife and blood on it. It's violent.
This is terrible, actually, and I don't enjoy this being in this position. Jacob, God,
Jacob.
You know, as offended as I am that the next Barry Jenkins movie we're getting is one that I'm going to avoid like the plague because it makes me want to cry tears of blood that's what he's investing his time into. I'm going to have to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I am going to vote for Moonlight and I am going to finally watch it. But I'm going to put my faith in it. It better not let me down. That's all I have to say.
Wow. Oh, I didn't expect that. I did not expect that.
MacGruber!
With that, we say goodbye to Argo.
Wow.
I did not expect that coming. All right. Well, I'm going to let you
I like to be the agent of chaos.
Okay. Well, I'll let you start this next one and you can, and so you're not deciding.
No. Oh, no. Why do I deserve this?
God.
Oh, I don't like this one.
Ow. Ow. Why do we have to end with pain and suffering? Oh God! No.
Okay.
Give me. I gotta just give me. Unless you know where you're going.
I know where.
Okay, go ahead.
Is
I'll
this the
think
last
about it
one?
for like half a second.
I
Yeah,
know
this is the last one.
This is our last
Okay.
one of the night.
Thank
I'm
you.
going. Look, and it's not just because of this, but I'm using it as a joke. It's the Aussie.
You gotta
in me.
laugh through the pain.
Look, Lion just means a lot and hits me in a way that is different. And so, yeah, because of that, I am voting for Lion. I love this movie so much, and I think it's such a beautiful film. So, yeah, I'm going with Lion.
Am I legally allowed to vote against Lion if I'm wearing a Dev Patel shirt? I don't know if that's would stand up in a court of law.
I don't know.
Or the court of the internet either. I think that might be putting bad vibes out there. God, this sucks. Why? Why would you do this? These are both such emotional movies with awesome performances that are really just so unique. Like, I hate using that word, but they're both just kind of in this really special class of movie that we just don't get to see, where the story is so powerful and impactful and the performances are great and they're just like they kind of exist on their own plane. I'm like talking in circles trying to figure out where I'm gonna go with this one.
This was a relatively pain-free bracket until the
right
end.
Now. I thought we had made it through a false sense of security I was lured into. Oh God. I don't know where to go with this. I really don't know what to do. I'm like panicking. I'm having a moment here. Like,
break it down objectively. I don't know.
I don't know. You know what? The universe is speaking to me through, like, I didn't even do this on purpose. I just picked up the Dev Patel shirt, not knowing we were talking about Dev Patel today. So it's a sign. Like, I just got it. That's the only way I can get through this.
All right. Marisol.
Shit.
I watched Taylor in Suffering without realizing, oh, hang on, I should have been using this time.
Yeah. It's so. These are maybe two of I could talk for like 10 minutes and not pick a movie. So I am gonna not do that. I gotta pull it. I gotta pull it. I'm gonna vote for Room. I am gonna vote for Room. just only because I guess we literally have to vote for someone. Like I don't know. I guess we have to pick one. That's really as good a
the
reason
rules
as
of
I
the game
have.
say.
Like that's. I feel like I'm gonna be saying that for like this, like the entire final bracket. I was like, I just have to pick one. So that's my reason. I just have to pick one. But yeah, yeah, I stand by everything. I will say this about Lion, which is amazing, and I'm usually kind of I tend to lean a little more cynical with things of this ilk, but the fact that Lion is pretty much an advertisement for Google Earth, it's like a Google commercial really at its core, and the fact that that doesn't occur to me like the whole time I'm watching it is such a testament to the sincerity of it, the sincerity of the performances, and how earnest these human connections are, and how much they're sold, and how much we believe in them, and this plight where it is, I think it nails that, where you can use, it's okay to name drop it, you can use a technology to make this breakthrough, a once in a lifetime breakthrough in your life to bridge this gap and find your way back home. It's the greatest commercial ever. And Google commercials are usually some of the most heart-tugging. Wait for the Super Bowl. Google commercials are usually some of the most heart-tugging, best ways to show the way you can use their technology to bring people together and find the most human, most humane parts of ourselves. And Lion is the greatest Google commercial ever made. Like the Google can never even make themselves. So that I will say that in its favor, but I am still going to vote for Room, because women and mothers and feels. That was really broad. I'll elaborate further. Hopefully, we'll see what happens with this round, but hopefully I can elaborate more when I talk about Room again.
Mara.
My reasoning may seem flawed, but we always have to come up with some reason. I love both of these movies very, very much. I think if you walk into like a group of people that you know, not like cinephile friends, just like the regulars, the normals, and you say like, "Oh, have you seen Room?" or "Do you know the movie Room?" Granted, you'll get some people that think you're talking about The Room, but once you're like, "Room," the one with Brie Larson, they're like, "Oh yeah, I know it, or I've heard of it, or I've seen it." Like it has so much like public zeitgeist awareness, especially because of awards and stuff like that. Like people know it. If you ask people, "Have you seen Lion?" First they'll be like, "I don't know what that movie is," probably. And if you're like, "Oh, Dev Patel is in it," they might be like, "Oh, wait, is that the one where the guy's on a boat with a lion?" And it's like, number one, that's a tiger. Number two, that's not Dev Patel. You just don't know that brown people can be different people. But like, but seriously though, it has like no widespread recognition. And for that, I find it to be able to be classified as kind of underrated, or at least at a minimum under the radar. Not that those two things are synonymous, but they're a Venn diagram for sure. And so I want to throw my vote to Lion because even though we are certainly not the Academy, we're way better. We're definitely more diverse. So I think that I would rather give my appreciation to the movie that has been less appreciated in this case, because there's just, it's splitting hairs as to which one I would vote for, because they both have so many merits and they're both fantastic. And I don't even care which one goes through, but I'm going to vote for Lion.
All right. Adam.
I didn't already vote. I'm all right. Okay.
Get with it.
All right, we're down to the single word titles. This is intense stuff.
This is efficiency at its finest.
I can't wait for cupboard versus field. All right. So Lion versus Room. Look, it's late. I don't want to wade through a bunch of nonsense. I'm gonna be blunt. I am voting for Room. I am. I already spoke to why Room means a lot to me when I watch it. as isolated as it is, that's why the most specific movies, as we know, tend to have the most universal appeal. Room is such an example. Effective on all levels. And what I didn't say previously that I find so incredible about this, and this happens a lot, this happens in the movie Castaway, for example, but like when they leave that isolated claustrophobic environment, they're still dealing with isolation and claustrophobia. And it's so palpable when you watch it. And it's directed incredibly well and sensitively. There's no sensationalism at all. That's what I love about it. Lion is great. I've spoken to Lion, but I vote for Room.
Well, with that, Lion does move forward. We do say goodbye to Room. And that is our final matchup for the night. So our final four from this bracket going through are The Shape of Water, The Artist, Moonlight, and Lion.
That is a solid
Queen.
group of movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I know that got painful at the end there, but that's a solid group of movies.
Trust me, losing Room hurts, but like again, I'm not mad at all that Lion is going forward. At least it loses like
What do we got for us next week? I'm scared.
So next week,
I'm
guys,
scared. I don't want to see it.
Silver Linings versus The Babadook, The Big Short versus Skyfall,
oh god,
Dr. Sleep
Oh,
versus
God.
Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, I don't like that.
She's out of my league versus The Big Sick,
okay.
The Lego Movie and Hereditary,
Yes.
The Conjuring and Love, Simon, Patterson and Sicario,
No,
and Lady Bird and True Grit.
no.
Next week may
man.
get painful.
Someone's gonna have to watch The Big Sick before next week. That's
Yeah.
all I have to say about that.
Please, for the love of God, please watch the movie.
Love that.
Mara, where can people find you?
Okay, so I've been really busy and I've needed something on in the background. And last summer, my friend Kaylee was like, "Have you heard of this show, Too Hot to Handle?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." So it's a bunch of hot idiots that they put in a house and they think they're going on a like, let's just stick our things in as many things for each other as we possibly can show, except it's only that for the first 12 hours. And then they have to abstain from any intimate contact or else they lose money out of their prize pot and they have to learn how to
my
form
God.
meaningful relationships with each other. And chaos ensues, obviously. And it's trash. It's total trash. I'm almost finished with season 2 right now. So that's what I'm up to. I'm still pretty busy and it's great to have on in the background because all I have to do is like watch their intros. So that way I can connect their voice to their face, which, man, I gotta say, because this filmed several years ago, I'm really glad we moved past the lip filler stage where every girl wanted to look like a sex doll. I'm really glad we got past it because it hurts to look at. It hurts to see. Yeah, that's what I'm up to. So if you also want to go back and rewatch old seasons of Too Hot to Handle and just be like, wow, look at these hot idiots, I would love to talk about it. So yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Adam, where can they find you?
Well, you can find us here for now. Once the bracket show wraps, we are going to come off our hiatus at Champs on Film.
Mhm.
We have a lot of exciting plans going into the end of the year in 2025 for our channel. It's just for fun. Thanks for those of you who are still subscribed. We know we're dormant, but we're coming back. And also, shout out to Jonathan Caro in the chat. He put together this lovely, lovely graphic, and I need to share
Send it to Jacob. What up?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's our McGroob poster.
all right, I'm going to send it to Jacob.
Yeah, send it to Jacob so I can pull it up.
All right.
Oh
gotta
god,
put it on screen.
Oh god, hang on. That's gonna take a minute. I will do that. I will do that next week because it's gonna take a bit to do.
But
We will have it ready for next week.
Yep.
McGruber,
her.
it's very serious.
It's very serious.
Look,
Very
it's still too soon for me, guys. Still too soon. Okay.
Marisol?
Same thing this guy said. I've watched so many movies, and I need to get back on my letterbox. So you can follow me on my letterbox, Marisol _Mariah, and probably on Twitter, where I just kind of promote this what we do. Gonna be here for the next few weeks, and we'll be back on Champs on Film. Those really are the only spaces to find me.
And you can find me on here pretty much everywhere at Jacob London, or currently going through a whole bunch of PlayStation games and platinuming those.
You and me, dude. Hey, Jacob. Me and you.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Turtles in Time, Streets of Rage 4. Okay.
Sure. I'll find it. Sure. I'm currently right now. I'm going through. I'm just doing a whole. Right now, I'm redoing all the Spider-Man games because I want to platinum those. So I'm doing that at the moment.
Well,
You've literally you've literally played more video games in the last like week, 2 weeks than I've ever seen you play the whole time we've been together. Even though you always say you're going to do it, like you finally actually been
have done it.
now.
Yeah, I know. And it's been good. I've been enjoying it. And you can also find me on Tuesdays on the Notorious by Chance YouTube page, where I will be talking football because football is back. It is back on Thursday, and the Phillies going 6-11 is
the Phillies.
Oh, sorry, not Philly. The Eagles
We're
going.
watching baseball?
Yeah,
What are you
the
talking
Eagles
about?
going 6-11 this season, and if that doesn't happen, I'm never going to hear the end of it because I have several people who are going to very much, yeah.
I just hear the sound of like rancid bullshit, like hitting the Did you hear that?
I like how out of everything that we have gone through over the last 16 weeks so far, that is the most offensive thing I've said to you so far.
That's fine. Look, Jacob, just know that I'll be there for you when you have your weekly meltdown about the Bills.
Oh, I know that. Oh,
I'll be there. I'll be
100%.
there for
That's
you,
coming.
dude.
Oh, look, I'm not delusional. I'm sitting here wanting to fire my coach. Anyway,
it's all right. Guys, Taylor and I are a little team united now.
Yes, we are. We are a team united. So I have someone to cry to when the whole team inevitably somehow gets injured all in week 2, and then the season doesn't matter.
That's right.
That sounds like the Chargers.
Yeah, it sounds like the Chargers. So
Chargers Nation.
We have a new coach, so I'm pretty stoked about it because he has like Justin Herbert not running away from cameras every time someone wants to talk to him. Like he seems to actually be comfortable, like doing shit now, which is super cool. I'm super excited to see what that means. That's awesome. Also, you completely skipped me, so
I hadn't gotten to you yet.
You did. You were like, "Oh, we'll see you next week." You were ready to sign off without even talking to me. Rude.
My bad.
So rude. Anyway,
where can they find you online?
At Finally Tailored on Letterboxd and Twitter and Instagram and pretty much everywhere else you can find stuff online. I've been using TikTok again, which is an interesting prospect. My latest is we got to go see the Batman in Dolby because we were not over here when the Batman came out, so we never got to see it in Dolby. That was awesome. That was good. Not only is that awesome because the sound design and the score is brilliant, but good God, seeing that cinematography on a giant screen will never get old. Oh yeah, our popcorn bucket as well is there we go. There we go. Oh yeah, and it like lights up and puts the bat symbol on the wall. It's a whole thing.
Popcorn bucket.
That is the popcorn bucket. It was a $38 popcorn bucket.
Worth it.
Worth it. Anyway, that's what I'm up to. So, counting down the days until we get the Batman 2. That's what I'm up to.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week.
Bye.